Okay, so yeah, I'm starting the stream.
Nibbling on sponge cake, watching the sun bake. All of those tourists covered with oil, strumming my sixth string on my front porch swing. Smell those shrimp, they're beginning to boil, and I'm wasting away again in Margaritaville, searching for my lost shaker of salt. Some people claim that there's a woman to blame, but I know it's nobody's fault. I don't know the reason, stayed here all season with nothing to show but this brand new tattoo. But it's a real beauty, a Mexican cutie. How I got here I haven't a clue. Wasting away again in Margaritaville, searching for my lost shaker of salt. Some people claim that there's a woman to blame. Now I think, hell, it could be my fault. My flip-flop, stepped on a pop-top, I cut my heel, had to cruise on back home. But there's blues in the blender, and soon it will render that frozen concoction that helps me hang on. Wasting away again in Margaritaville, searching for my lost shaker of salt. Some people claim that there's a woman to blame, but I know it's my own damn fault. Yes, and some people claim that there's a woman to blame, but I know it's my own damn fault.
Hello, everyone. Hello, and welcome back to, I guess we're still Razor Ray Live Wounds, the live stream for Bold Like a Leopard, because YouTube are a bunch of fucking assholes. That's right. And I'll tell you why they're assholes, by the way. It's a good thing we have, in the audience today, we have a friend of ours who I don't know very long, High Desert Pioneer, and he can vouch for this. And I'm not. And by the way, I have Lennon McCarthy on the screen, so I'm kind of catching him off guard with this, but I don't know if he knows this YouTuber, Alicia Clegg, has been banned. Has been banned for what? For not being an idiot. It's unbelievable. I think the first time that I actually encountered her, she was under some sort of a stupid live stream ban for some sort of bullshit. I think it was like transphobia or something. And in this whole spirit of the Me Too and listen to women and all this, you cannot find many people on YouTube of whatever of the 95 genders and 43 flavors of Baskin Robbins that you want that have more logic and focus and real laser-like dedication to their topic than Alicia Clegg. Although you can't find her on YouTube anymore, so you have to go to BitChute. Doesn't that suck? So, Lennon, why don't you introduce yourself? I know I kind of caught you unawares there, but I just saw this before we went on the air.
I'm
this is a good YouTuber, by the way. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm fighting with my setup here, which is really bad. Oh shit! What? Oh my! Are you playing something or am I playing? What the fuck? I'm trying to get. Okay, yeah, I'm fighting with my format right here.
You see
it's so hard. Like I have to like go into like YouTube and try and watch it live, but then I have to mute it and it's delayed and it's like to like look at the chat and everything. Sorry.
You see YouTube. If Alicia Clegg was still on YouTube, this would be going fucking smooth as fucking silk. But instead, you have us two.
I had it and then it was impossible to mute. Okay, I have it again. Okay, let me see if I can mute it. All right.
Hold on, I need to pop the chat out.
All right. I couldn't even mute. I had to close the window, and then yeah, it's fucking. And then I'm on this really old MacBook, and then so when I try and do something, it takes like half a minute to load, like it's the 90s, and I'm on dial-up or something. Anyway, but that's okay. That should be all squared away now. So, yeah, I'm just introducing myself. Hi, I'm Lennon McCarthy. I also have a YouTube channel.
Yeah, Lennon McCarthy has a YouTube channel. I think you do mostly uploads, right? Although you do have the
I did a few live streams a while ago. I started doing that. Yeah, so I do live streams occasionally. I do mostly like political rants, and then once in a while I do some other comedy stuff, like cartoon type stuff.
Yeah, so we're both fans and in some ways participants on the Hard News Network, who, by the way, had a very good analytical live stream on the Christine Blasey Ford testimony today, which will be part of our programming, of course. So your impression going into the whole saga, Lennon, I mean, I know that we're both, on the table. I am not really sympathetic to the Democratic cause. You yourself for slightly different reasons. But what was your impression coming in? What were you expecting from the two people who were going to be testifying?
I mean, I guess it's about how I expected. It's a circus. It's not like, it's admittedly, it's not a trial. If it was a trial, it would just be like dismissed. And it's like, okay, there isn't any evidence. So it's not a trial, admittedly. And it's, it appears to be orchestrated for political reasons. Like I think it was in one of the clips. Anyway, it was in the testimony that Kamala Harris was like saying how it was Christine Ford reached out to her congressperson, before the confirmation, so that I guess Feinstein could let Trump know not to appoint this guy. And if we're supposed to take, and that's supposed to be an indication that it's not political, well, how about going to the police or some sort of authorities? I mean, that's not political. So you're going to your congressperson who then sits on the letter for 2 months while they're supposed to be talking about if there are any problems with Kavanaugh. I mean, what's the explanation for that? Her Chinese spy of 20 years didn't give it to her, I don't know. And it seems like a lot of these people, they're in these glass houses. Like it's just a bunch of crooks. Like what the hell? Why isn't Dianne Feinstein being investigated for her Chinese spy? And how come hardly anyone gives a shit about Keith Ellison's domestic abuse allegations? I mean, it's just It's like the worst. Like the Democrats are continuously like in a self-healing glass house, like firing a machine gun out of it.
Wow,
And because
there's a metaphor there.
Yeah, I could make that into a cartoon or something, but it's because the media and social media, everybody just colludes with them to just smooth things like of the world. So I'm highly skeptical about the allegations. Maybe stop short of just like liar. I mean, it just seemed, but there's no question that the whole thing is, the people I don't mind calling Kamala Harris or Feinstein. I don't mind calling them liars, or just the Democrats instigating this shit, that it's for political purposes, to be substance behind the charges. But whatever, I don't know what happened, but I wasn't there and can't confirm or deny what happened there, or that he's definitely 100% innocent, because I wasn't there. But you're innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah, and I think that's a topic that a lot of us have been really revisiting over and over again for a while. I would say that, look, I've said it a few times on this channel that one of the reasons I got back into writing about current events, blogging, was because of the Rolling Stone story of 2014 and 2015, where they falsely accused a bunch of frat boys and an administrator of frat boys for gang raping a student, co-ed that was kept anonymous, named Jackie, as well as a college administrator for covering it up. And the whole story turned out to be complete bullshit. A rape on campus story by Sabrina Rubin Erdelli, which really, that was my red pill moment in terms of really realizing that the media is full of just fucking liars, like, all around. As opposed, politically, I'd already become very interested in Ron Paul and his ideas of, reducing government and things like, not that I'm a complete and total devotee of his, but, I don't think that the political issues were what got me to become interested again in politics. It was really an episode like that. And by the way, I would say that a lot of people have become politically motivated because of stuff like this, where they just see a lot of, allegations going around that just have very little substance to them. Not to say that I know what happened to Dr. Ford, or that I know that Brett Kavanaugh was innocent. The fact is that he's kind of one of these patriot guys. I wasn't very enthusiastic when he was selected, and I think this whole saga, it kind of made me root for this person, even though in reality I don't really know if I'd get anything out of him being on the Supreme Court. It really makes no sense. What about you? What were you thinking when has this changed your opinion?
I'm not like okay, well, I'm more towards rooting for Kavanaugh, sort of because of the nonsense happening. And also, to me, I would prefer, okay, I'm where I am. I'm an ex-liberal. Maybe I'm center or center-right-ish, authoritarian. So I don't know. But, ex-liberal. So I don't consider myself left or liberal. But if I have a choice between somebody, just as you say, one person's a conservative and one's a liberal, I'd rather have a conservative on the Supreme Court, because what the Democrats and, the fake liberals, what they're up to is just, they want this, cultural Marxist bizarro world where you're guilty until proven innocent. If it's politically expedient. If it's a Democrat accused, it's the opposite. But it's just logic, reason, evidence out the window. They're all maniacs. So anyone who's like reasonably conservative, who's not terrible, I'd prefer to have that person on the Supreme Court. I'm not a Bush fan. I don't like that stuff either. But on the other hand, I'm not sure how. I think what a person would hope or expect for Trump to do is to just appoint like a conservative, and so I'm not gonna be shocked if he doesn't hand select the person I would most like to be on the Supreme Court. I'll put it that way.
Right, and I'd
And
like to
I
know.
think. Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
It's
if
just
anybody
us.
in the chat has had their kind of opinion changed.
And I think if it gets derailed over this, that's pretty much a bullshit thing right there. That's fucked up.
Right,
Yeah,
because
I don't. I just don't. I don't. You know, I'm skeptical. I've said. You know, I can't suspend my disbelief about the allegations. So whatever. I mean, it's innocent regardless of what I believe. It's innocent till proven guilty. You know.
oh, absolutely, and you know, you brought up Keith Ellison, and there's another politician who I heard on the radio, and I'm not gonna mention his name because I have to kind of read through this, but who's kind of there's been revelations that he apparently was accused of spousal abuse from his prior marriage in my state. So I still think, you know, the presumption of innocence, it's a really central cornerstone of the society that we formed as a country. And Keith Ellison, somebody who I've basically, I know that he's a complete and utter liar with everything that concerns his own personal record in terms of affiliation with the Farrakhan you know, the Nation of Islam. And, you know, if you really were a
Yeah,
man of
wasn't
integrity,
Obama hanging out with them too?
sure, and you know what? I don't like him, but it's his
We'll just
constitutional
be
right to
open
hang
about
out
it.
with them. But
It is what it is.
yeah, he should just be honest. But he denies everything,
Yeah.
even though there's
Just say like,
photographic
yeah, I
evidence.
hang out with Farrakhan. What of it? I mean, you know.
There have been people who have said that, and he just has
Yeah.
no balls.
I mean, yeah. I don't like. I mean, if you want to hang out with Farrakhan, or if you want to hang out with David Duke, or who you want to hang out with, then fine, do it. It's like, why, you know, it's like, what is that? It's like, wouldn't you think it was weird if like there's pictures of Trump like hanging out with David Duke from like 2016 that were hidden? Like, wouldn't you be like, wait a minute, what the fuck is this? But meanwhile, we have the same thing with Obama and Farrakhan. You know, I mean, I would think it was a head scratcher if they were like surfaces of just like, you know, photographs of Trump chilling out with David Duke on the campaign trail that we never be like, wow, well, that's something. But it never happened. You know what I mean? That's how the liberals act, though.
So we have a comment from Nick's Radio. By the way, I think all the people in the chat are YouTubers. There's High Desert Pioneer who does a lot of prepper YouTubing, very like some interesting stuff about preparing for kind of the day after tomorrow. And then there's Nick's Radio who says purely idealistically, he's also a YouTuber, not to be taken too literally. I want a more liberal Congress where change happens and a more conservative Supreme Court where rights are upheld. That's a very interesting way of putting it. I'm not entirely sure what he means, but I think he's trying
maybe
to.
If it was classically liberal, but you know.
Yeah, I think he's trying to say that there should
maybe
be.
classically liberal is okay, but a lot. It's just the left has just been overtaken like Invasion of the Body Snatchers by the fake left.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's not recognizable. I don't think that they. I mean, I think that there was always this element within the left, but they've taken over.
Isn't it comes from like liberty? Isn't it? Is the original idea something about the individual rights or something like that? Because they've gone the opposite to like worshiping the state and wanting to set the Bill of Rights on fire. So I don't know. I don't know if it's the origin of the term liberal or not. But I thought that there was supposed to be, allegedly, at some point, there was an emphasis on the individual's rights.
Yeah, I'll
kind of 180 on that.
Yeah, I'm like, I'll try to say it within like in a 2-minute answer to that, two minutes or less. So liberalism was originally similar to what Len McCarthy was describing, although it's a little more broad. It's rejecting, you know, just the restrictions of traditionalism, you know, the monarchy in Britain, where, you know, there's the upper class and they have certain privileges that are theirs, legal privileges and property privileges. So the liberals over in Britain were seeking to extend a lot of these, you know, kind of eliminate these as privileges and make them more as a common courtesy for everybody, and those are rights, and that, you know, that evolved. A lot of the elements of liberalism in the British mold became really the foundations of this country, including individual liberty. Yeah,
egalitarianism. Would that be like another one?
Yeah,
that idea.
Like they believe in equal protection under the law. So if you're a nobleman in Britain, you don't get a better legal.
And the liberals
treatment.
though with that, like now it's just like totally the opposite.
Oh, they've completely, like you said, they've completely abandoned it. It's their, like they've become. I mean, there's a lot of people on YouTube and elsewhere that are talking about how the left has become illiberal. You know, the liberalism does not mean basically that you walk around dressed like a giant dildo and you know your wife or whatever it is in some sort of Chewbacca suit or something at a parade. That's not. I mean, it doesn't mean
like
that
some
you can't
sort
do
of
that.
weird left-wing activism, and the Democratic Party is still maybe the second biggest party or whatever, but it's in the top two. But it's a big party. It's a major party, and there's a lot of people in it. So we have a mainstream party that has just gone off the rails and bonkers with. Yeah, they don't always. I understand that there's still the business Democrat centrist bullshit happening. That's still important. But if you scratch the surface underneath when they say gun control, scratch the surface, they want to abolish the Second Amendment. I mean, I understand that not every moderate business Democrat is going to say, I want to get rid of the Second Amendment. Most of them won't, But you underneath the surface, all that shit's there. And then there's the wacky activists that come out and say it. Like, no, we want to eliminate the Second Amendment. We want to take away guns. We want to eliminate free speech, essentially. It's ridiculous. And the mainstream party, even though they don't always fully endorse this shit, it's all under the surface. Like the open border stuff. Like officially, they're kind of radical on borders, with they're not 100%, the party line isn't necessarily abolish ICE, but it's close to it. They're under the surface. So yeah, I think the party is just kind of wacky. And it's taken a lot of people along with them. Because of, I think a lot of it's mainstream media where they communicate and say, no, this is our programming now. This is how we think about this, and this is right, this is wrong. If you don't believe this, then you're like a Nazi or whatever. And so I think the mainstream media really coordinates to get those, Democrat voter, get them on the same page with all this, all this ideological subversion bullshit. Cultural Marxism, whatever the fuck you want to call it, identity politics.
So we'll start with the first video will be Kamala Harris's discussion. I don't know what you'd call it with Christine Ford. And I want to, after we play this clip, we'll switch straight to the Kavanaugh Harris clip, and I'll tell you when we do, Lennon. So
is it the one where it says you are not on trial?
Yeah, that's the one that the ABC Arizona. So
that's the one that we're gonna play now.
Yeah, you ready?
Okay. Yeah. Should I mute myself?
You don't have to. Press play though. Ready?
Not on trial. You are sitting here before members of the United States Senate's Judiciary Committee because you had the courage to come forward because, as you have said, you believe it was your civic duty. I was struck in your testimony by what you indicated as your intention when you first let anyone associated with these hearings know about it. And what you basically said is you reached out to your representative in the United States Congress, hoping that person would inform the White House before Judge Kavanaugh had been named. That's extremely persuasive about your motivation for coming forward. And so I want to thank you. I want to thank you for your courage, and I want to tell you I believe you. I believe you. And I believe many Americans across this country believe you. And what I find striking about your testimony is you remember key searing details of what happened to you. You told your husband and therapist, two of the most intimate of your confidants, and you told them years ago about this assault. You have shared your experience with multiple friends years after that and before these hearings ever started. I know, having personally prosecuted sexual assault cases and child sexual assault cases, that study after study shows trauma, shame, and the fear of consequences almost always cause survivors to, at the very least, delay reporting if they ever report at all. Police recognize that. Prosecutors recognize that. Medical and mental health professionals recognize that. The notes from your therapy sessions were created long before this nomination and corroborate what you have said today. You have passed a polygraph and submitted the results to this committee. Judge Kavanaugh has not. You have called for outside witnesses to testify and for expert witnesses to testify. Judge Kavanaugh has not. But most importantly, you have called for an independent FBI investigation into the facts. Judge Kavanaugh has not. And we owe you that. We owe the American people that. And let's talk about why this is so important. Contrary to what has been said today, the FBI does not reach conclusions. The FBI investigates. It interviews witnesses, gathers facts, and then presents that information to the United States Senate for our consideration and judgment. This committee knows that, in spite of what you have been told. In 1991, during a similar hearing, one of my Republican colleagues in this committee stated these claims were taken seriously by having the Federal Bureau of Investigations launch an inquiry to determine their validity. The FBI fulfilled its duty and issued a confidential report. Well, that could have and should have been done here. This morning, it was said that this could have been investigated confidentially back in July. But this also could have been investigated in the last 11 days since you came forward. Yet that has not happened. The FBI could have interviewed Mark Judge, Patrick Smith, Leland Kaiser, you, and Judge Kavanaugh on these issues. The FBI could have examined various maps that have been presented by the prosecutor who stands in for the United States senators on this committee. The FBI could have gathered facts about the music or the conversation or any other details about the gathering that occurred that evening.
Well, I'm going to pause it at 404. So there was one detail. There was one detail.
FBI.
Well, it wasn't that part. The detail that stood out to me was that she was claiming that Ford gave that confidential letter to her representative, Anna Eshoo, I think her name is, under the understand.
I thought it was Feinstein.
Well, then she gave it to Feinstein.
I don't know. Maybe you're right.
She gave it to Feinstein, the representative.
Oh, I get it.
And so then, listen to this. So she said, remember, she said that she hoped it would be confidential, but Kamala Harris says that Ford was expecting the information to reach the president, to reach the White House. It can't be both. I mean, you understand it doesn't. I mean, it's either one or the other.
This isn't political. She gave it to her congressperson to give to the president to stop the nomination. Had the proof that it's not political? Of course not. You know, what would be political is be going to the cops or something like that, right? No.
Well, yeah.
What are we talking about?
And
then they're like, help us, FBI. You know, it's like the Democrats use the FBI as like their personal hoax squad or something, like with Russiagate.
It's like you know, whenever their fucking omelet comes out runny, they want to call the FBI. It's retarded, and then they can't keep their fucking story straight. Another thing, and I should have looked this clip up, although we do have enough clips as it is. There was a question somebody posed to her why she didn't contact the committee itself, or Grassley, or you know, the senators on the Republican side, and notify them. You know, then there would have been a confidential process as well. She would have been allowed to have a confidential process. I can't guarantee it would have been confidential because I know there's assholes on the Republican side too. But
isn't Feinstein or her staff pretty much busted for leaking? I mean, there was somebody, I don't know if it was true, somebody said something on Twitter, there was even an individual in her staff. They're like, oh yeah, this person leaked it. That's how it looks.
The excuse she's using is that one of Ford's friends must have leaked it because she was talking to them. So she's basically she's basically saying, well, I don't know who leaked it. It must have been one of her friends that advised her to come to me. So,
And the point that Kamala Harris was bringing up about how this is all documented, she brought this up years ago, but Kavanaugh's name never came up until now. Why is that? Why'd she report it in 2012 and Kavanaugh's name wasn't attached to it anywhere? That's kind of funny, isn't it? Maybe because she didn't know which Supreme Court nominee it would be.
so let's let this this video play out, and then we'll switch to her questioning Kavanaugh. So,
okay.
Are you at 404?
Yeah, close enough.
Okay, play.
All right.
That is standard procedure in a sexual assault case. In fact, the manual that was signed off by Ms. Mitchell, the manual that is posted on the Maricopa County Attorney's website as a guiding principle and best practices for what should happen with sexual assault cases, highlights the details of what should happen in terms of the need for an objective investigation into any sexual assault case. It says, quote, effective investigation requires cooperation with a multidisciplinary team that includes medical professionals, victim advocates, dedicated forensic interviewers, criminalists, and other law enforcement members. The manual also stresses the importance of obtaining outside witness information. You have bravely come forward. You have bravely come forward. And I want to thank you because you clearly have nothing to gain for what you have done. You have been a true patriot in fighting for the best of who we are as a country. I believe you are doing that because you love this country. And I believe history will show that you are a true profile in courage at this moment in time in the history of our country. And I thank you.
Senator Kennedy now, so proceed. Ms.
All right, so that's enough of that. Let's listen to her cross-examining Kavanaugh. You got the clip ready?
Okay, let me find it. Just a second.
The woman behind her has like a super oily, weird face. and then the guy to her right looks basically like some sort of Nazi mannequin.
Okay, is this Harris to Kavanaugh? Are you willing to ask the White House? Is that the next clip?
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay, I got it.
Okay. Press
Ready to go?
Yeah.
All right.
3 of the women who have made sworn allegations against you have called for an independent FBI investigation into the claims. You've been asked during the course of this hearing by 4 different members, by my count, at least 8 times today, and also earlier this week on national television, whether you would call for the White House to authorize an FBI investigation.
Pause. 23 seconds. I just wanted to say that Cory Booker couldn't hog. I mean, he had to hog a little of this. Like he had to like creep into the camera just so people.
This FBI investigation over everything. Like people pointed out, like what about investigating Hillary again? I think they are, by the way, but still, it's like FBI investigate, and it's like, didn't they do like 6 background checks on him, like just like now before this shit? And then they're like, we need you to investigate a story from 36 years ago or whenever. We don't know what year it was, actually, roughly 36 years ago. And there are 4 witnesses who said that it never happened. So can you investigate that, please? We don't know where it was. It was probably in Maryland. We don't know what year it was. What the fuck? How do you investigate that?
Yeah, I think at this point, if Trump wants to investigate Kamala Harris, he might have to, or not Kamala Harris, Hillary
He
Clinton.
should do that too.
He might have to. He might have to get what's his name, Chris Hansen, the Dateline.
Yeah, well, the problem with Hillary Clinton is not a lack of evidence or anything like that. It's that it's all her buddies that are supposed to be, that are in the DOJ. The people trying to frame Trump for stuff with Russia that didn't happen. That's why Hillary Clinton is walking free.
Well, anyway, so here, let's keep it going. Let's see how she relates to Judge Kavanaugh.
Okay.
Each time you have declined to do so. Now, I know you do, that the FBI is an agency of men and women who are sworn and trained law enforcement, who, in the course of conducting background investigations on nominees for the Supreme Court of the United States and others, are charged with conducting those background investigations because they are sworn law enforcement and they have the expertise and the ability and the history of doing that. So I'm going to ask you one last time. Are you willing to ask the White House to authorize the FBI to investigate the claims that have been made against you?
Well, I'll do whatever the committee wants, of course.
And I've heard you say that, but
The witness
I've not heard you ask. I've not heard you.
Are you going to
answer
call for the
very
FBI to
specific
investigate
questions
you?
I
And he
asked,
made a face like,
which is, are you willing to ask the White
Can
House?
you please ask Mr. Twomp
conduct
to
an
investigate
investigation
you?
by the FBI.
You just made, like, this confused
Is
face.
the bottom of the allegations that have
are you
been
going to call for
levied
the
against
president to ask the FBI to investigate
The
you?
FBI would gather witness statements. You have
Sir,
the witness statements. They
I
don't
don't want to debate with you how they do their business. I'm just asking, are you
Dumb
willing
question.
to ask the White House to
That's
conduct
not his
such
job.
an investigation? Because as you are aware, the FBI did conduct a background
I'm going to ask
investigation
the
into
president.
you before we were aware of these most recent allegations. So are you willing to ask the White House to do that?
Here's minute 55. I paused it.
All
My
right, sorry, I
rebuttal
was
to her.
talking. I got excited.
My rebuttal to her would have been, Senator Harris, are you willing to come over here and scratch this itch on my ass, you fucking fraud? It's like, okay, maybe that would have been, given the circumstances, it might have been the wrong thing to say. But it's like, don't tell me what to do here. I basically have taken enough bullshit from you for all the, and by the way, if they would have given him like during the actual hearings, like really cool questions, it would have made a little more sense.
They wanted to deliberately waste everyone's time. They could have done all of this shit and looked more credible if they brought it up right at the beginning. Say, hey, I mean, listen, some of it would have still been the same, of course. Some of it would have been the same, and you know, a lot of conservatives and whoever would not believe it. Some of it, a lot of it would be the same, but it would be more credible for the Democrats and the accusers. It would be more credible if they came forward sooner. And there's no excuse for Dianne Feinstein holding onto the letter for 2 months, unless, you know, her Chinese spy had it or something in the Chinese laundry. I don't know. Why isn't she being investigated? I think she should be impeached. I mean, or at least maybe she's just really stupid, and so she didn't know she had a Chinese spy for 20 years. That's a problem too.
Yeah, that's something.
I'm sick of this stuff with the glass houses.
Yeah, the whole Feinstein thing is, and Feinstein. I mean, there were a lot of clips of hers, and I didn't know which one to use if I wanted to address it, so I didn't pick any of hers. But
the Democrats are just a bunch of grifters, though, and they're the ones pointing all the fingers. You know, not that the Republicans are that great, or that no Republicans are ever guilty of wrongdoing. Of course they are, but these Democrats are just like these greasy grifters coming up with like bullshit out of nowhere, like fresh on the heels of you know, rigging the primary for Hillary and then blaming Russia. You know, and they're like, oh, here's what else we have to say.
yeah,
Fuck you guys.
I'll say something like the Democrats. I didn't get to listen to 100% of the hearings today. There was only one Democrat who I thought, and it was Amy Klobuchar, who I think is from Minnesota, who I thought kind of sounded normal somehow. I mean, she wasn't really making a great point, but she at least sounded like
She sounded normal.
yeah, like she posed her questions in a very like logical way, at least, even though they were basically a repetition of crap that had already been asked. But you know, she at least made it seem like, you know, I get it that like that was it, and I'm not even going to say that her questions were good. It's just that
The problem is they usually sound like they're sharing like a hive mind. That's the problem with the Democrats and the fake left. It's that they're sharing a brain, and that it's like a religion. It doesn't follow logic or reason, because they say stuff like, they make these Me Too assertions that women are always right and men are always wrong, or women are always telling the truth. And we know that that's demonstrably false. And it doesn't mean that I'm saying men are always telling the truth, because that's also demonstrably false. Both of them are wrong. They're simplistic. I mean, are we toddlers here? You know, I mean, can we come back to reality?
So let's see the rest of this clip.
Okay.
It kind of, I mean, it kind of circles back and forth. Maybe we'll stop in the middle, but
All right.
quit. But let's keep going. 155, play.
And say yes or no, and then we can move on.
I've had 6 background investigations over 26 years.
Sir, as it relates to the recent allegations, are you willing to have them do it?
The the witness testimony is before you. No witness who was there supports that I was there.
Okay, I'm going to take that as a no, and we can move on. You have said in your opening statement, you characterized these allegations as a conspiracy directed against you. I'll point out to you that Justice now, Neil Gorsuch, was nominated by this president. He was considered by this body just last year. I did a rough kind of analysis of similarities. You both attended Georgetown Prep. You both attended very prestigious law schools. You both clerked for Justice Kennedy. You were both circuit judges. You were both nominated to the Supreme Court. You were both questioned about your record. The only difference is that you have been accused of
Oh, it's not
sexual assault.
possible.
How do you reconcile
Not
your
possible.
statement
Couldn't
about
happen.
a conspiracy against you with the treatment of someone who was before this body not very long ago?
I explained that in my opening statement, Senator. Look at the evidence here, the calendars, look at the witness statements, look at Ms. Kaiser's statement.
Okay. And then,
So pause at 317.
All right.
So that's an interesting question she brought up, and I've thought about it too. I saw Tom Binns, who I don't know if you
If it
follow
was a
his channel.
conspiracy, they would have done the same thing to Gorsuch. So it's not a conspiracy. She just proved that. She's
Well,
using logic.
Yeah, let me explain what I think the answer to that would be. And it's very simple that, Judge Gorsuch, I would say, had the benefit. He was not as controversial as Kavanaugh, because Kavanaugh was kind of this guy who had the Patriot Act in his record and everything. But the other issue is that when Gorsuch was nominated, Trump had just been elected, and he had a slightly larger majority because this was before the Roy Moore Senate shit show and whatever. So they had 52 votes. It was almost assured that Gorsuch was going to get onto the court. And, there were several Democrats that, when it's not election season, remember, that was in 2017. There were
But
several.
this is a Hail Mary, though.
Yeah, this specific issue here with Judge Kavanaugh is an election season stunt. That's it. With Gorsuch, it was not election season.
Yeah,
With
if they had to
Kavanaugh,
do it
is.
again, they would do it to Gorsuch too.
but-
They're probably kicking themselves that they didn't pull up a scam for him and do the same thing. If they had to do it, you know what I mean? And they'll just keep on doing it. Like Trump said, he's like, I could nominate like 4 different people, and they could just come up with this. Paraphrasing, but they could just do it to every one of them. Just come up with some vague, just come up with some allegations for every single person he nominates, no matter who they are.
Yeah,
Because it's not substantial. They don't need anything substantial.
and the reality is that the Gorsuch nomination was to replace a conservative who'd already been, who'd already died, Scalia. So it's not like the Democrats were losing any ground hypothetically on the Supreme Court. Now, with Anthony Kennedy retiring, who was he was a little more of a middle ground person, probably one of the smarter justices, even if you disagree with a lot of his rulings, because he's the guy, I think he's the reason that the gay marriage got legalized, which a lot of, I kind of think gay marriage is a joke, but he's a Supreme Court justice. So it's because of Anthony Kennedy that happened. It's also why Citizens United happened. So he's kind of this, people could hope.
But he's not going to appoint a liberal, though. It's not happening. So, the Democrats are in fantasy world, and, they can't get over losing the election. They're acting like they didn't lose it. Because you can appoint, the Democrats can appoint liberal Democrat activists, whatever judges they like when they win an election. They don't get to, they have some votes, but not, they don't have the votes to make enough of a difference. So now they're just throwing, everything at their, everything with the kitchen sink or whatever, and just using like ridiculous smear campaign tactics, in my opinion. That's certainly how it looks, because they don't have the votes. But the thing is, if they don't have the votes, they don't have the votes. That has to do with, what representatives people choose to vote for, and the general election, who the president is, and they lost those elections, so fuck them.
Yeah, there's an issue that they keep bringing up in liberal forums that
I think Trump should just pick more and more conservative. If Kavanaugh doesn't work out for Kavanaugh, pick somebody more conservative that wants to overturn Roe v. Wade. Then they attack him with some bullshit. Then you get somebody that wants to repeal the amendment.
pick Alex Jones for the Supreme Court. Yeah.
No, I think Alex Jones should be the new czar. That actually Trump should declare a national emergency with fake news and appoint Alex Jones in charge of determining what's real and what's not.
Yeah, exactly.
Because apparently the liberals want the government to tell us what news is real or not or something. I don't know. But, they're pretty dumb because they worship the government, but they hate Trump. They think Trump is Hitler, but want to hand over their guns.
So, yeah, that was an interesting question from Kamala Harris, but she wasn't really expecting a real answer. But, I think...
Why don't you ask the president to have the FBI investigate you? He's like, yeah, if they want to investigate me, go have at it. Why should I advocate for that?
Well, I meant the Gorsuch question, though.
Oh, yeah, that's also dumb. It's a logical fallacy.
Well,
it's like, that's assuming that they attack 100% of the nominees, which they might be getting close. But let's say that they skip one. That doesn't disprove that they're attacking a nominee with bullshit. And they didn't have somebody with a repressed memory or whatever about Gorsuch.
The truth is that when Gorsuch was up for nomination, they did treat him like shit, and they didn't do this, but they did treat him like shit at the hearings. So,
I think this is going to happen every time from now on. I think that's just how they operate. I didn't even think that Kavanaugh was really controversial, and I was kind of surprised because the Bushes like him and all that shit, and I thought maybe he wouldn't. Yeah, I thought that some pussy hat wearers didn't like him, but I thought that it would go better. But they just came out with they're addicted to these smear campaigns, I don't know who's. It's probably Soros. I don't even know that it is, but I think Soros and the Clintons are involved, and we just have continuous smear campaigns and this sort of anti-Trump propaganda everywhere, fake stories everywhere. We saw it like with Fusion GPS and Perkins Coie and all that, like the 50 intermediaries that the Clintons have to run their operations. I think it's connected to that.
So let's play out the rest of the clip.
Okay.
Not that we're really gonna see any new ideas. So play at 3:17.
Okay.
Do you agree that it is possible for men to both be friends with some women
Oh, I remember
and
this
treat
question
other
now.
women badly?
Of course, but the point I've been emphasizing, and that is if you go back to age 14 for me, you will find people.
Do you believe that dogs and cats
not
can
just
be
people,
friends?
Lots of people. who have been
It's
friends
you asking
with
me?
some who are in
It's
this room
possible.
today,
No, I'm asking
starting at age
Senator
14
Harris.
women.
Oh, okay.
Talk
I think it's
about
possible you raised them
relationships with
together.
through my whole life, and it's a consistent pattern all the way through. 65 women who knew me more than 35 years ago
What about bunnies?
signed a letter to
They
support
both
me
got to hate something.
after the allegation was made because they know me and they were with me and we grew up together. We talked on the phone together and we went to events together. That is who I am. What they've said, what the people who worked with me in the Bush White House, the women there. Look at what Sarah Day said in centralmaine.com. Look at what the law clerks. I have sent more women law clerks to the Supreme Court than any other federal judge in the country.
I only have a few seconds left, and I'll just ask you a direct question. Did you watch Dr. Ford's testimony?
I did not. I plan
Thank you.
to. I plan
Thank
to.
you.
I plan to, but I did not. I was preparing mine.
All right, so that was Senator Harris. The next one is going to be a little more fun. We're going to talk about Sheldon Whitehouse, and there's some really funny questions in this one. So do you have that one ready? That's a PBS
Let
one.
me find it. Okay, let me find the right one. Sheldon, did you send me that one? I'm not sure I have that.
That might have been the one that we were kind of debating.
I don't know. Can you paste it like the link in Hangouts or something? Or did
Yeah,
you
I
do
just
that?
sent it to you.
Oh, okay. Wait, let me see. This thing, it literally like takes forever, like it's the 90s and I'm on dial-up whenever I do anything.
There's got to be a better way to do this. Like you said, we were talking offline about how it's difficult. I mean, OBS is okay, but there's got to be a way that I don't have to send these clips
Wait,
to the people I'm talking to.
I don't know that I'm looking at the right one. I ended up, wait, that was the one that I was sending you that I just looked at. I don't know where it is.
Wait, hold on. Show messages.
On Hangouts, right?
Yeah, on Hangouts, dude. I sent to you.
See it.
Here.
Oh, now it's okay. It's on the screen. I was looking at another thing in Hangouts and it wasn't there. Okay. Let me just get the screen loaded and then get ready. It's taking a second.
In the meantime, can anybody in the audience tell why we played Margaritaville at the beginning? Still loading?
Yeah. So like a spinning circle on it. I think it's because my computer's old and probably, okay, pause it. Yeah, and probably my Wi-Fi isn't great. It's, it's supposed to be broadband, high speed, and all that shit. But, Time Warner's ruining me or something. Okay, I have the clip now. I'll watch it.
Okay, let's go. Press play.
Let's look at Beach Week Ralph Club biggest contributor. What does the word Ralph mean in that?
That probably refers to throwing up. I'm known to have a weak stomach, and I always have. In fact, the last time I was here, you asked me about having ketchup on spaghetti. I always have had a weak stomach.
I don't know that I asked about ketchup on spaghetti, but
You didn't, someone did.
Okay.
And this is well known. Anyone who's known me, like a lot of these people behind me, have known me my whole life, know, I got a weak stomach, whether it's with beer or with spicy food or anything.
so the vomiting that you reference in the Ralph Club reference related to the consumption of alcohol.
Senator, I was the top of my class academically, busted my butt in school, captain of the varsity basketball team, got into Yale College. When I got into Yale College, got into Yale Law School, worked my tail off.
And the word, Ralph, you used in
I
your
already,
yearbook
I already
relate to
answered the
alcohol.
question. If you're,
Did it relate to alcohol?
I like beer.
Yeah,
I like beer. I don't know if you do.
Okay.
Do you like beer, Senator? What do you
Did
like?
you see this part, by the
One
way?
is-
Senator, what do you like?
No.
You didn't see this? This is the best part of the
I don't know
whole
if it's
fucking
bust
hearing.
or-
No, I saw parts of it. It was like 8 hours long. I saw
Well,
parts.
let's pause it. This was
Okay, let me pause.
this was the best part. Well, I'm at 127.
Okay.
Now it wasn't.
He's like, what kind of beer do you like? Or some shit like that. He's like, do you like beer? What do you like?
It wasn't
You
the
just ignored
smartest part of the hearing, but it really showed the hearing was literally the biggest bullshit in the world.
They were
And-
like trying to, where they're like, wait, you're saying you've never been so drunk that you blacked out and can remember stuff? Well, people who drink like black out and can't remember shit. Well, okay, it happens, but yeah, that's a pretty serious condition to be in. And yeah, some people that has never happened to. So, they're like, oh, come on, everybody's blacked out and not remembered shit. Yeah, I mean, I had like a weekend, I totally like don't know where I was and shit. No, it's like, come on, that doesn't happen to everybody. That's like some serious shit. So I totally believe that somebody could drink and get drunk and not black out and forget everything.
I sent a message while I was listening to this friend of mine who happens to be a lawyer, who was like laughing at this whole hearing, and I was like,
And they're asking like if he drinks during the week, like present tense, like now.
yeah, and I said to him,
Fucking
I put in like quotations, like it was one of the testimony questions. I was like, Judge Kavanaugh, if I'm not mistaken, you're not Christ incarnate. My vote's a no. It's like what I mean, a lot of these, if he was blackout drunk at any point in his life, It does not validate anything.
Are you drinking beer right now, bro? Because I've got a cold one right here. Hey, I got a cold one. You want to sip? Maybe you're gonna black out. Maybe you'll remember what happened. Let's try that. It's like a Gilligan's Island thing. Like you get hit on the head with a coconut, and then you forget, and then you remember or something. He drinks, remembers everything.
All right, we're at 127. It gets better. Play.
That refers to flatulence. We were 16.
Okay. And so when your friend Mark Judge said put the same thing in his yearbook page back to you, he had the same meaning. It was flatulence.
Sure, it wasn't Mike Judge.
I don't know what he did, but that's my recollection. We want to talk about
Judge Dredd.
flatulence at age 16 on the yearbook page. I'm game.
You mentioned, I think, the Renata, I don't know how you pronounce that. That's a proper name of an individual, you know?
Renata?
Renata?
Renate.
With an E at the end, R-E-N-A-T-E. Is that
Correct.
Okay. And then after that is the word alumnius. What does the word alumnius mean in that context?
I explained that in my opening statement. She was a great friend of ours. A bunch of us went to dances with her. She hung out with us as a group. The media circus that has been generated by this thought and reported that it referred to sex. It did not. Never had any, as she herself said on the record, any kind of sexual interaction with her. And I'm sorry how that's been misinterpreted. And
Look at his fucking face. Can you see the face on this senator? Look at, I have it frozen on my screen. Do you have it on the same? It's like.
Wait, I paused it. What was it? What was it like?
Do you see the face of this senator?
What
What the hell is this? Yeah. You got
I have it paused at 2:45 right now, by the way.
I'm at 2:37. Sorry.
Oh, okay. I'm a little bit ahead of you.
So yeah, I just wanted to pause it. It's like he can't believe that he's hearing
Okay,
about.
I'll back it up a little.
Like I guess his expectation was, yes, this friend of mine, you know, let me pose a hypothetical situation. Let's say that Jerry Seinfeld was being appointed to the Supreme Court, and the question was, so this Elaine, you all fucked her, right? You, Kramer, George, Newman, all of you.
Jerry Seinfeld dated a 17-year-old girl in real life, though. Like, that's a known fact. Remember that?
Yeah, I'm thinking of the Jerry Seinfeld from the
character.
series.
No,
Yeah,
I'm saying in real life, though. You know, I mean, I'm not saying if it's right or wrong. I'm not sure if it was legal or not, or what went down. I'm just saying that he did date a 17-year-old when he was like in his mid-30s, like at the height of his career. Very famous. I remember Howard Stern used to talk about it.
I think you're right.
Yeah, he dated a 17-year-old.
Yeah, I think I remember this.
I mean, I don't know if it was illegal or if they, you know, were intimate or not, but he did date a 17-year-old.
All right, so let's see what's the rest of this.
About that, as I explained in my opening statement, because she's a good person, and to have her name dragged through this hearing is a joke and really an embarrassment.
Devil's Triangle.
Drinking game.
How's it played?
3 glasses in a triangle.
And
you ever played quarters?
no.
It's a quarters game.
Let's play now.
Ann Doherty's.
As you can tell from my calendar, she had a party on the 4th of July in the beach in Delaware.
And there are like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 F's in front of the 4th.
Dude
of
saved
July.
his calendar
What does that
too.
Signify, if anything.
Oh,
One of
this
our
is
friends,
hilarious.
Squee, when he said the F word, starting at a young age, had kind of a wind up to the F word, kind of a, and then the word would come out. And when we were 15, we thought that was funny, and it became an inside joke for how he would say, and I won't repeat it here, for the F word.
Referring to Georgetown versus Louisville and
You want to name more on the Fs?
no, Orioles versus Red Sox. In both, you respond who won anyway or who won that game anyway. Should we draw any conclusion that a loss of recollection associated with alcohol was involved in you not knowing who won the games that you attended?
So pause at 407. He's asking him if him not remembering the score for a baseball game he was at, writing it down in his calendar, if that's evidence of him blacking out while drunk.
What? Wait, repeat that. What did he say?
So apparently in 1982, yeah, you want me to go back and play it again? Or?
No, you don't have to replay the video. Just say what you said again.
Okay, so apparently one of the entries on his calendar, and I've never been an organization person. I've never kept calendars. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of a mess. As
I have, but not consistently.
Right. So he's like the complete opposite of me, and he wrote literally everything important on his freaking calendars, and apparently there was one day he went to a baseball game. And he wrote a remark afterward, who won the damn game anyway? And they're saying, well...
Oh, he must have been blackout drunk.
Yeah, you can't remember the score to the Orioles-Red Sox
some
game.
Sort of commentary regarding the actual game. Like he's probably saying it, maybe he's being sarcastic, or there's probably some meaning related to the actual game.
No, I believe that actually means that he became blackout drunk and he... he raped Roger Clemens.
That's right. He's like, who won the game anyway? And you put on like the glasses from They Live where you see everything clearly, and then it says like, oh yeah, I raped some girls. Exactly. You put on the CNN glasses or whatever. Put on the liberal glasses.
You just reminded me to check the Cubs score today. So sorry, guys. There's kind of a pennant race going on.
But okay, I'm not a sports fan. But wouldn't you, if you said like maybe you made some comment? And I don't know, was it a yearbook or his planner? His calendar.
His yearbook.
If you made some comment, who won the game anyway? Wouldn't that probably relate to like you're making some sort of statement regarding the game? It's not that you don't really know who actually won it. You're probably making some sort of rhetorical statement.
It's I don't know how you can conclude anything from that statement. Like it could
exactly.
just mean So let's play at 407.
Maybe he thinks there was a bad call by a referee, for example. Maybe he thought that the game went the wrong way. Maybe that's what he meant. I don't know.
Yeah, could be. Anything? Yeah, absolutely. It could be second guessing what happened. Or a bad. Yeah, like you said, a bad call. All right, play at 407.
No. First of all, the Georgetown Louisville was watching it on TV, a party, and
that's not inconsistent with drinking and not remembering what happened.
I'm aware. And the point of both was
pause just for a second. 422. Yeah, actually, it was I guess it was a college basketball game.
Okay.
So yeah, let's just keep going.
In essence,
all right.
We're having a party and didn't pay attention to the game, even though the game was the excuse we had for getting together.
Oh, I get it.
Very common. I don't know if you've been to a Super Bowl party, for example, Senator, and not paid attention to the game and just
that's what he meant.
With your friends.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've done that or not, but that's what we were referring to in those two occasions.
Senator Cornyn.
Yeah, that might have been the dumbest cross.
Well, that's because he was blackout drunk. That means that he literally, like him and all his friends, literally all of them were blacked out, and they were probably raping people, but we don't know because everyone is blacked out.
Yes, they were raping the Georgetown basketball team with Patrick Ewing. Somebody
doesn't that happen to you? I have a friend who gets drunk, and he says that he blacks out, so therefore you get drunk, you black out. Like all these people just make all these logical fallacies, and I mean, it's on purpose. It's politics, but I think it's deliberate that at least in public schools, it's not mandatory to take any logic classes. They might offer them. I didn't take any until I was, I took some college once, but it was so like a basic logic class. It's really like it's so easy that an elementary school kid could do it, and I think there's a reason that they don't make it mandatory in public schools because they don't want people to be able to think. And so people just go around with logical fallacies and saying, oh, well, this is like this and therefore this, and it's just wrong. You know what I mean? And they don't get it. Like most people do that. Most of a lot. Especially when they're arguing about politics, there's logical fallacies everywhere. Like if one person does something, it doesn't mean another person also does that thing. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Like if I drink beer and I live in California and you drink beer, does that mean you live in California? Like that's a logical fallacy. Like you just can't put two and two together. You're just like, "Durr," and you're just jumping to conclusions.
No, I believe I actually just I just looked out the window and there's some redwoods out there. So actually, yes, I drink beer and.
Well, we do have the same bookshelf, so we're probably in the same state.
Absolutely.
I don't know which way to do it.
Yeah, that
This
way.
way?
Yeah. No, you got it right the second time. Anyway, next one, and there's only 3 more left. But there's let me see here. This one, forward question about the anxieties and the fear of flying. Now, this lady who was appointed the prosecutor, I wasn't watching the whole time.
I'm not sure if I have this clip or not because this is the one. I think you duplicated one of them in the links.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if I have this one.
Let me send it to you.
Okay.
It's in the Hangout window.
Okay. Just give me a second to for it to load.
Yeah, I'll like set the scene anyway.
Okay.
So what people should remember is that the Republicans were attacked a lot, and I think it's, I kind of wonder what the solution would be, and they've probably found the lesser of all evils. They were attacked for the entire Republican side of the committee being guys, and basically white guys at that. So they decided, well, which happens in a number of hearings, they decided to appoint a counsel to ask the questions on their behalf to Christine Ford, and they picked this woman who is a prosecutor from Arizona. And I was listening to the audio of it because I was kind of at work and stuff, and I think it was a wise choice. I think she did the best she could. They kept limiting her to 5 minutes like everybody else, which I think made it very difficult to keep a coherent thread between one set of her questions and another. But this was an important one where she was questioned about her fear of flying. So you ready to go?
Yeah.
Okay, press play.
Have there been other things then that have contributed to the anxiety and PTSD that you suffered?
Well, I think there's sort of biological predispositions that everyone in here has for particular disorders. So I can't rule out that I would have some biological predisposition to be
What about
an anxious type person.
What about environmental?
Environmentally, not that I can think of.
Okay.
Certainly nothing as striking as that event.
Okay. You would not submit to an interview with the committee because of your fear of flying. Is that true?
Well, I was hoping that they would come to me, but then realized that was an unrealistic request.
It would have been
Okay, pause. 46 seconds.
Yeah. Okay.
She fucking is lying all the way there, or her counsel lied to her, or she was
it's possible that I don't find her credible, but I don't.
No, in this specific issue,
everyone around her is lying, though. It's possible.
On this specific issue, the issue of the flying and
the fear of flying, I don't really buy. That I think aren't there records of her flying other places? So yeah, I don't know.
Right,
but I think it is possible she's surrounded by people lying to her. But I think somebody was saying that that actually they could have flown out to talk to her, but the information wasn't relayed or something to that effect.
Well. They knew it. This was reported for. I remember I kind of went off the grid for a couple of days earlier this week, but I remember last week they were talking about an offer being extended in the media for the Republicans to send their staffers or the committee to send its staffers to Cali and have her deposed, her testimony deposed, and she didn't respond to it. So. What the hell is this bullshit about?
Yeah, the whole thing seems like it's a delay tactic, and it has to do also with what the hell is going on with Dianne Feinstein and waiting 2 months, in addition to having a Chinese spy for 20 years. But why are not enough people blaming her and saying, what are you doing? Because it just seems like it's all like just like this stretched out thing where it's like, oh, no, I'm afraid of flying. Oh, no. I need to schedule for late. Oh, no, Mondays aren't good for me. I hate Mondays. You know what I mean? It doesn't seem okay. A person could come forward, and regardless of, I don't know if they're telling the truth or not. Maybe they are. A person can come forward and maybe they don't even have any evidence, but maybe they're telling the truth. Maybe they're not. But they could totally. Somebody could come forward without evidence and not have it look like such a joke as this does. And some of that has to do with the Democrats, like Feinstein and other people around her orchestrating shit. But it just looks like a big sham. A person could have no evidence and not have it come off like a gigantic sham like this. I mean,
Well,
that's just how
the
it
fact
appears.
is, I believe that Mondays traditionally are reserved for organizing your emails about yoga and weddings, wedding planning. So, I think she does have an out with that. So let's keep playing at 46 seconds. Ready?
Okay.
Play.
Yeah.
Quicker trip for me.
Yes. So that was certainly what I was hoping, was to avoid having to get on an airplane, but I eventually was able to get up the gumption with the help of some friends and
how
get on the
nice.
plane.
In fact, you fly fairly frequently for your hobbies, and you've had to fly for your work. Is that true?
Correct, unfortunately.
I also saw on your CV that you list
she
the
flies all the
following
time. She
interests
just
of
doesn't like
surf
it.
travel, and you, in parentheses, put Hawaii, Costa Rica, South Pacific Islands, and French Polynesia.
What
Have you
the
been
fuck?
onto those places
Correct.
by airplane?
Yes.
And your interests also include oceanography,
Are you shitting me?
Hawaiian and
I didn't
Tahitian
notice
culture.
this part.
I'm
Did you
afraid to
travel by
fly,
air
but
as
I
a part
fly
of
all the
those
time.
interests?
Correct.
Thank you very much.
Easier for me to travel going that direction when it's a vacation.
Did anyone help you write the letter?
No.
After you sent your letter, did you or anyone on your behalf speak to Senator Feinstein personally or with any Senate staffer?
Yes.
Okay.
I had a phone call with Senator Feinstein.
Okay, and when was that?
That was while I was still in Delaware, so before August 7th.
And how many times did
August
you
7th?
speak with Senator Feinstein?
Once.
Okay. What did you talk about?
She asked me some questions about the incident, and
Feinstein.
I answered those questions.
Okay. Was that the extent of the gist of the conversation?
Yes, it was a fairly brief phone call.
Okay.
Doesn't
that was-
Feinstein also drink cold medicine and then leak stuff sometimes too? Maybe she should have done that sooner. Just get the NyQuil and then release everything. I don't know.
It's like, what the? I mean, that had to be.
I don't see any, assuming that this is, if a person thought none of it was credible and they were gonna, let's say Feinstein thought it was all nonsense. Okay, that's one scenario, but apparently she thinks that it's serious and needs to be brought up. So why did she wait 2 months?
I think that clip of
It's timing.
that clip of that lady, whatever the fuck her name is, and she's probably doing a good job, whatever she's doing. I wish she would have had more time to question Ford.
I'm really scared of flying. Yeah, I fly all the time. I don't like it though.
Yeah,
I managed to get
I literally
up the
go on
gumption. Some
vacation
friends,
to places. This is a woman.
Some
this
friends
is
sent me some nice quotes that made me feel good, and yeah, I really don't like it though. Fucking bitch. I should do like a cartoon of her. I can already do an impression.
the way that she described her past summer. It seemed like she was on vacation the whole fucking time.
I like to go to Hawaii and Costa Rica and Antarctica and the Philippines, like everywhere. Yeah, I don't like airplanes though. Yeah, I go on them a lot. I just don't like it.
And then there was the whole two doors thing that I saw.
What's the two doors thing?
Okay, so listen, this is difficult to explain. So
Jim Morrison and Ray Manzarek.
and Robbie Krieger. So
Robbie Krieger just held me down.
yeah, he would be. So look. So
It's after Jim Morrison died. I don't know how it's possible, but I remember it.
So listen to this. So she claims that at a certain point, so I can't play the entire hearing, but you guys can go look, and there's a clip of her describing this. She claimed that the entire crystallization of her recollection happened because several years ago she was discussing with her husband and a contractor installing or doing some work on the front of her house, and she wanted a second front door installed.
Oh no!
and the
This
reason
Right.
for this was this. Okay, the contractor was like, "What the hell would you need a second front door for? I mean, come on."
So
And
the boy from 1982 doesn't come back from the past and rape me again.
Oh, she said something not far off from that. She was saying that she had been sexually assaulted, and she felt that she needed a second exit in case that, I mean, come on.
Isn't that called a back door? Why does she have two front doors? I don't know.
Yeah, it was.
She needs like an escape hatch or a panic room or something.
It was something weird.
This is the room I used to hide from Judge Kavanaugh.
For anybody who now says listen and believe, it is very hard
It's like
to believe.
hear and obey. It's fine. If you have zero evidence, then it's hard. Listen, a person could be telling the truth and still have zero evidence. So, I don't want to be like, a person could be telling the truth and still have zero evidence. The problem is people are innocent until proven guilty. Like somebody was saying on Twitter, I forget who it was, some liberal person was saying, oh, in Maryland, the accuser's word is considered evidence of a crime. And somebody pointed out, yeah, it's evidence of a crime, but it's not evidence like of who committed it. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, oh, okay. So somebody makes an accusation in Maryland, and then so the person accused is automatically put in the slammer with no trial. I mean, no, it doesn't work like that. It's ridiculous. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, the bottom line is that it's innocent until proven guilty. And then I also happen to think that the allegations do not sound credible, in my opinion. And certainly the Democrats are making it into a ridiculous political circus like they do with everything.
Okay, so we're gonna play two more clips that I have. I think Lennon also said he had another one that I don't know if you sent me that one, but
check my windows.
We're gonna play this one from
What's this one?
Senator Kennedy questioning Judge Kavanaugh.
Okay, let me find that one. I think I have it in a window somewhere. Okay, got it.
All right, so it's gotten so bad. The walkaway movement has gotten so bad that John Kennedy, Democratic icon, is now a Republican. Just kidding. It's a different John Kennedy, but he's.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, but you'll see. So press play. This is kind of a strange clip, but
press play yet?
Yeah, press play now.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Judge, for what you and your family have been through, and I'm sorry for what Dr. Ford and her family have been through. It could have been avoided. Do you believe in God?
What?
I'm going to give you a last opportunity. We're right here, right in front of God and country.
Guy looks at his phone next
I
to
want you to
him.
look me in the eye.
Guy next to him's kind of funny.
Are Dr. Ford's allegations true?
They're not accurate as.
I'll pause it at 52 seconds. The guy next
All right.
to him, who's from I think South Dakota,
Yeah.
he tore into Dianne Feinstein like really hard. And that was kind of interesting. And then there was another part where there was a part for like 20 minutes where people were like saying, "Fuck you, Dianne. What the fuck are you doing to us? We want to
I
go
don't
back."
think she should be in office. I'm not sure. Listen, I think she's ridiculously corrupt. I'm not sure if she's, if she has any other problems, if she's senile or anything. Maybe she's not. Maybe she's mentally okay. Except I think that she's, the Chinese spy for 20 years. I think that she's really, really corrupt, and that she has some explaining to do. regarding, holding on to this letter for 2 months, having the Chinese spy, and then didn't she leak some classified information on cold medicine in the past? I mean, I don't think she should be in office. I think she's ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, until like a couple months ago, I thought that Feinstein was just a typical piece of shit. But now she's like really a piece of shit. Like the same, Cory Booker is also, he's really lost a lot of my respect. But I mean, there are like I said, the only person.
He's another shill. I mean, there are specific reasons I can say why Feinstein should be out of office. And there are other ones that are just generally corrupt that probably shouldn't be in office either, but maybe you don't have the specific reasons for it. But like Feinstein, I can name them. And, there are other people that are also in government that have these scandals that the media ignores, et cetera, when they're Democrats, like Keith Ellison, for example. Supposedly Cory Booker groped somebody. I don't know the details.
He said in an article he'd written when he was a student, he talked about an incident where he groped a girl when he was 15.
Great.
So, I mean, it's a different circumstance. I don't really care.
Yeah.
Because, again, I mean, I don't care because I think that he's an idiot in any case. So I don't think that the groping admission, but, it's the hypocrisy of him pretending to be Mr.
I just think he's like a grandstanding Democrat stooge who, maybe he wants the nomination or whatever. I don't know if he's going to get it or not. I guess it's possible. I think Kamala Harris is more likely because she's a woman, and I guess I don't like her at all either, by the way, and I also think she's corrupt. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't know about Cory Booker, but I think Kamala Harris is more likely to get the nomination for being a woman, for one thing. It's another thing you can check off on your, on your list of things, like why you're a good candidate, your skin color and your gender.
Well, I'll tell you what. This is how I'll summarize kind of the performance of the Democrats in the hearings. And, of course, I mean, we've already gone through Kamala Harris, who's just a complete piece of shit. But she didn't come off looking stupid. She just came off looking like an asshole.
No, I think Cory Booker grandstands more than she does, and generally he comes off worse.
Then you have Feinstein, who comes off the worst from this. And then there's Chris Coons, whose daughter was groped by Joe Biden, but in the committee he didn't seem. I mean, he didn't seem like too much of an idiot.
Oh, yeah, Joe Biden is no problem either with the hours and hours and hours of footage of him groping women and small children. Yeah, I mean that's no problem.
Yeah, that guy is out of his mind.
Is he still the front runner? I don't think he's. He
has the best polling numbers. I think he polls ahead of Bernie Sanders because for some reason I don't know how that happens because as much as
they give him the nomination, Trump is going to destroy him, and he's probably going to talk about him grabbing kids all the time. That's all he's going to talk about. Because I mean, how can you run for president when there's hours of footage of you, and it's not like it's one clip where it's like, oh, I don't know, maybe he's being affectionate in a grandfatherly way in this one weird clip. No, it's like dozens of them, scores of them. It's just like grabbing on these kids and shit, and some grown women too. I mean, mostly the kids are alarming. But, groping the grown women but groping the little kids.
Listen to this.
Hours of how can
Trump,
you run for president with that?
All Trump has to do if Joe Biden was to be nominated is he does one of his rallies in let's say Detroit or something, and it's just him and some sort of screen with Joe Biden like it fucking blown up and with one of those kid videos, and he just points, he says, "Now, I don't have to waste too much of your time here, but look at that. Well, what do you guys see here, man?"
He could give him a new nickname or stick with, Creepy Uncle Joe or whatever, Groping Joe, something. Or he could come up with his signature Trump nickname which would stick and destroy his career. Yeah, I don't know about Joe Biden. He might run for president. I don't think he's going to get the nomination. And if he did, he's going to be destroyed. I think that seriously, that the stiffest competition Trump could reasonably expect would probably be from Bernie Sanders. And, I wouldn't vote for him. And, of course, a lot of people would. But some of the people who supported him before wouldn't vote for him. I mean, like A.J. Goodman, still kind of loves the guy. But he's like, yeah, I'm glad that Trump won, actually, because, I'm paraphrasing, but basically Bernie Sanders didn't stand up to, the DNC, the deep state, whoever. I'm paraphrasing, but basically Bernie Sanders didn't stand up to the corruption, and so no, he wouldn't be a good president.
Yeah,
that's my opinion. I think he has the best chance, but I don't think he's going to get. I don't think he's going to get the nomination. I think he'd probably lose, and anybody else wouldn't. I think Trump would pretty much crush most competition. Maybe Bernie Sanders would give him a run for his money, possibly. But most of the other ones he just crushed, I think.
Bernie Sanders, I'll tell you what, has proven himself to be such a spineless twat that people don't figure that, he let himself. He really could have won that nomination, and
I think it wasn't happening though. I think
the key moment. Hear me out for a second. When he said, "I don't give a damn about your emails," that was when I saw he didn't know.
Oh well, you're saying if he had campaigned differently, but the thing is I think that the fix was in, and there was literally nothing in the world. I think that they probably did do shit involving actual ballots and shit like that some people, have documented without getting too deep into it. But I think that regardless of how he campaigned, and by the way, he was under like some sort of weird strict agreement, by the way, about basically he needed to be a gentleman regarding how he campaigned against Hillary. And probably it was like, oh no, don't talk about this, don't talk about that, don't go too hard on this. And he still demolished her. Like I saw when he was campaigning, he won me over, and I was a liberal, I voted Democrat, and I saw Bernie versus Hillary, and he annihilated her without even like he said, he didn't give a damn about the email, so he didn't go that hard. But he kept on talking about her meeting with Goldman Sachs and about her voting for war and
the super PAC.
Not even with just her, just being a big phony neoliberal corporatist status quo individual, and just without even getting into any scandals so much. Just basically painting a picture of this is, she says she's for this, but she's really for that. And he pretty much like spelled that out pretty clearly.
Yeah, that is a good point.
A little too clearly.
so we kind of got away from this video, but let's play out the rest of it. So let's go back to 30 seconds in.
All right.
I guess. Play.
All right.
I'm going to give you a last opportunity. We're right here, right in front of God and country. I want you to look me in the eye. Are Dr. Ford's allegations true?
They're not accurate as to me. I have not questioned that she might have been sexually assaulted at some point in her life by someone, someplace. But as to me, I've never done this. Never done this to her or to anyone else. And I've talked to you about what I was doing that summer of 1982, but I'm telling you, I've never done this to anyone, including her.
Are Ms. Ramirez's allegations about you true?
Those are not. None of the witnesses in the room support that. If that had happened, that would have been the talk of campus in our freshman dorm. The New York Times reported that as recently as last week, she was calling other classmates seeking to, well, I'm not going to characterize it, but calling classmates last week, and just seemed very, I'll just stop there, but it's not true. It's not true.
Are Ms. Swetnick's allegations made by Mr. Avenatti about you true?
Those are not true. Never met her. Don't know who she is. There's a letter released within 2 hours of that breaking yesterday from, I think, 60 people who knew me in high school, men and women, who said it was, their words, nonsense, totally, the whole thing, that's totally ridiculous.
None of these allegations are true.
Correct.
No doubt in your mind.
Zero. I'm 100% certain.
Not even a scintilla.
Not a scintilla. 100% certain, Senator.
You swear to God.
I swear to God.
That's all I have, Judge.
Judge Kavanaugh?
How about half of a scintilla?
Yeah, that was a weird one, and listening to it was very strange. And it like Senator Kennedy is from Louisiana, and I think he's smarter than I thought he was, but you know,
Well, he was going for like a conservative religious angle.
exactly, yeah, yeah.
I mean, do I think if I was him, would I do that? No, of course not. But whatever. It's not the worst. Not the worst thing I've seen. It's less ridiculous than what the Democrats are doing. I mean, I guess that it's the conservative base and a lot of it. Not, of course, it's not the same thing. Conservative and religious are not the same thing, but a lot of conservatives are religious. So I guess it's like that demographic relates to that, where he's like, do you believe in God? Look into my eyes. I guess that stuff plays well, I guess, to certain demographics. So I kind of get it.
It reminds me because I mean he's from Louisiana, and another guy from Louis Gohmert from Texas during the Peter Strzok hearings.
Yeah.
He had this interesting moment where he goes to Strzok. He's like,
He Gohmered him.
yeah, he goes like, I can't believe you've said these things today. I wonder if you looked your wife in the eye at night and repeat and with your lying eyes. And he basically
Do you kiss your mouth?
it's like that total.
Jesus is weeping right now.
Yeah, you have to be like an old.
Do you enjoy making little angels in heaven cry? That's what they do every time you die.
Yeah. So like sometimes it's kind
Jesus
of annoying.
is in heaven shaking his head right now. I hope you know that.
It's annoying and amusing at the same
He's
time.
shaking his head.
But I think in that case, it made Peter Strzok look more like an idiot. Like I don't think.
Well, they were like, oh, I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't know. Peter Strzok is all like these little sachet smirking.
Yeah.
Like, here I am. I'm just gonna lie my ass off.
Yeah, that was a weird day. And
Wait,
this was a weird
ridiculous argument is that these so somebody making an allegation, Christine Ford or whoever, there's nothing in it for them. Oh no, of course not. They're just lifelong Democrat activists. Not to mention the was it like $500,000 she just raised on GoFundMe or close to 400,000 or something?
Yeah,
there's nothing in it
GoFundMe
for her.
accounts.
Just these people that, of course, there's just even if there was no money involved, if you're a Democrat, first it's like, because if he gets on the Supreme Court, people are going to die. We have to stop him. And who do they think Trump is going to appoint? A liberal? It doesn't make any sense. It's dumb.
Oh, this will have, I was going to talk about this at the end, but we might as well now before we get into Lindsey Graham. So,
Oh yeah, gruesome balls.
So what's going to happen with Christine Ford? And I don't really care. I guess she played it well. She's going to get a book deal. She's probably going to get some sort of new professorship of some bullshit or something. She's going to get, because she is an academic. She is going to get this. This is the beginning of her career. This is not because people will basically portray her as the person, the scorned woman.
You're such a hero. I admire you so much. Like pretty much like Kamala Harris. You're so brave. It's so brave, to come forward when the Democrats need to, come up with some dirt. You come forward. It's so brave. I don't know.
So we're gonna play the Lindsey Graham, and I guess I'll play it all the way through, and I'll put myself on mute, and so that way we can get through it. You ready?
No, I need to find the clip. I have a few windows open. Let me find it. Can you send it to me again? I can't. I had them open before. I can't find it now. But while we're waiting for a moment, Ed from The Outer Light, I don't know if you watched that or know him, but this YouTube channel, The Outer Light, he he had a video today, and it was like titled something like that. Lindsey Graham goes into beast mode. I thought it was pretty funny. Okay, I got the clip lined up now.
Okay, press play.
Senator Dianne Feinstein on August 20th.
I did meet with Senator Feinstein.
Did you know that her staff had already recommended a lawyer to Dr. Ford?
I did not know that.
Did you know that her and her staff had this allegations for over 20 days?
I did not know that at the time.
If you wanted an FBI investigation, you could have come to us. What you want to do is destroy this guy's life, hold this seat open, and hope you win in 2020. You've said that, not me. You've got nothing to apologize for. When you see Sotomayor and Kagan, tell them that Lindsey said hello, because I voted for them. I would never do to them what you've done to this guy. This is the most unethical sham since I've been in politics. And if you really wanted to know the truth, you sure as hell wouldn't have done what you've done to this guy. Are you a gang rapist?
No.
I cannot imagine what you and your family have gone through. Boy, y'all want power. God, I hope you never get it. I hope the American people can see through this sham, that you knew about it and you held it. You had no intention of protecting Dr. Ford. None. She's as much of a victim as you are. God, I hate to say it because these have been my friends. But let me tell you, when it comes to this, you're looking for a fair process, you came to the wrong town at the wrong time, my friend. Do you consider this a job interview?
The advice and consent role is like a job interview.
Consider that you've been through a job interview.
I've been through a process of advice and consent under the Constitution. Which
Would you say you've been through hell?
I've been through hell and then some.
This is not a job interview.
Yeah.
This is hell.
This
is going to destroy the ability of good people to come forward because of this crap. Your high school yearbook. You have interacted with professional women all your life, not one accusation. You're supposed to be Bill Cosby when you're a junior and senior in high school. And all of a sudden you got over it. It's been my understanding that if you drug women and rape them for 2 years in high school, you probably don't stop. That's my understanding. If you lived a good life, people would recognize it, like the American Bar Association has the gold standard. His integrity is absolutely unquestioned. He is the very circumspect in his personal conduct, harbors no biases or prejudices. He's entirely ethical, is a really decent person. He is warm, friendly, unassuming. He's the nicest person. The ABA. The one thing I can tell you, you should be proud of. Ashley, you should be proud of this, that you raised a daughter who had the good character to pray for Dr. Ford. To my Republican colleagues, if you vote no, you're legitimizing the most despicable thing I have seen in my time in politics. You want this seat? I hope you never get it. I hope you're on the Supreme Court. That's exactly where you should be. And I hope that the American people will see through this charade. And I wish you well, and I intend to vote for you, and I hope everybody who's fair-minded will.
All right, well, that's the first time I've ever respected anything that guy did.
That was like a scene from a movie.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I mean, I'm totally with Lindsey Graham on that. I mean, I'm not sure about him in general, but that was quite a performance.
Oh, yeah. In general, let me tell you something. He's one of the people who, I mean, up until now, he's you know,
he's a neocon, right?
Right. He is basically John McCain's twin. And he's all about, you know,
but he's kind of slippery. Like, I think he's multifaceted, where sometimes he sort of aligns with Trump and shit. He's a little slippery.
He's not as much of a dumbass as McCain could be.
Well, yeah, McCain was he made it clear that he hated Trump, and it was the big never Trumper, where I think Lindsey Graham is kind of in the neocon school of thought, but he's not like a never Trumper. He's like a sometimes Trumper, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, Lindsey Graham, who is, kind of the senator representing the defense industry. So, and granted, there's a lot of senators who get money from defense contractors, donate, political contributions and stuff like that. So it's not only Lindsey Graham, but if there was one person who would be that person, it would be him. But and he's clashed with also Rand Paul a lot, and Rand Paul is the person who represents my views the best in the Senate or at all in American politics. But yeah, you're right. There are certain areas where he says, I'll work with Donald Trump, or I'll work with.
I think it makes more sense. I think the people that are the Republicans that are totally never Trump. I mean, I understand if they've been Republicans their whole lives and all that shit, but I think they should just switch to Democrats. Well, whatever. I mean, what do I know? I'm not even a Republican, so they can do whatever they want to. I happen to think that the never Trumper Republicans are kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, some of them have already switched to Democrats. I know that. What's that guy's name? Bill Kristol.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's like what the fuck do you believe in?
That guy's. Don't people say that like he's like famous for being wrong about everything? And it's just like, I think it was him that was like, he was saying we should bomb the shit out of Iraq like years before we did it. Like he was on the cutting edge of that. Like not only was he like in favor of it, he was like there at the vanguard at the, like, yeah, do it. Gotta bomb the shit out of people.
Yeah, he's basically been in favor of every war.
I think it really discredits the alleged left too, of the Democratic Party when they all just turn into neocons. I think it really discredits them. It makes them look like a joke that you have like two war parties. If you're a supposed liberal, you're just going to go along with a bunch of like neocon shit and then guilty until proven innocent and up is down. I mean, I don't know how many, a lot of people are, still with them, but I think they're losing people every day though. I think the Democrats and the, just sort of fake liberalism. You can still be liberal, like like there's the guy who found the walkaway movement, who's Brandon like gay, for example, and he still has some liberal ideals, and I think he probably favors Republicans now, but he still has liberal ideals. I think that's fine, because the alleged liberals have abandoned their own ideals, where they don't believe in equality anymore. Now it's about like some sort of victim hierarchy and, white men are evil and shit. That's not what Martin Luther King was preaching. It's totally opposite. But anyway, that's a whole other tangent.
Yeah, I think what you're talking about, it is a larger topic, but
feminism goes along with that too, because the feminism has gotten crazy, and that ties in with the Me Too stuff.
Right, like you're saying, there are people who were traditionally feminists for many, many years who have rejected this type of politics and said that this isn't really what we were fighting for. There are black activists who have said, well, we're not exactly Republicans, but what the fuck? And, there's people, there's a lot of people who just say, I didn't fight for my rights in order to become committed to, a party organization. And I think
it is a plantation or a cult. Democrats. It's all like it's all tribal. It's like and the thing is like, I think to an extent Trump and conservatives, I think to an extent they listen to their base, and then to an extent they have their own agenda that they want to sell because that's kind of how politicians do things. But with the Democrats, it's 100% top down. We have this agenda that we're going to push out there, and if the voters or the people out there don't like it, well, fuck them. They're Nazis because this is how it is. You know what I mean? It's like with Bernie Sanders. It looked to me like there was a grassroots movement that they pretty much killed by, I think that he was pretty much robbed. And there was an anti-establishment populist movement on the left that they fragmented, they split into 1,000 pieces. With Trump, it sort of stayed together because he won. And actually, I think it's still growing because I wasn't a Trump supporter before, and I am now. But the Democrats had a lot of people across the board were sick of the status quo, and the people who were left-leaning, a lot of them gravitated towards Bernie Sanders, and then maybe the people that are right-leaning gravitated more towards Trump. But then they took the populist and said, no, fuck that. Here's Hillary. Here's Hillary. Vote for her. You know what I mean? And they pretty much destroyed it. Because the populist was going to win if you know, let's say it was Bernie Sanders versus Jeb Bush. Well, Bernie Sanders would have won. You know what I mean? Because people don't want the status quo.
Yeah, they basically are of a mind that you can basically, like, the packaging is what matters, not what's inside.
Yeah.
And you know, another person that we could, you know, let's kind of move to close, but Tulsi Gabbard, who, you know, I think that her social and economic policies, I don't like them, but she, you know, she's consistently anti-war. She says, you know, we don't want to go into a war with Syria when we don't have an idea of how to deal with Russia there, etc. And she doesn't really buy into the Russia gate bullshit.
I think she's really good on foreign policy.
Yeah, so you know, there's a fairly reasonable person. You don't have to. I mean, I wouldn't say that I think she's a little too far in believing Assad, but I'd rather have somebody who's at least kind of the devil's advocate, mildly, like her, than some of these idiots that literally at the drop of a hat they want to bomb Syria. Okay, now nowadays, as opposed to in 2005. When the Democrats started the whole anti-war thing with Bush and everything, now she's basically a complete pariah in her own party. It doesn't make any sense. You know,
she's a Putin bot or an Assad bot or something, because she's not going into this you know, regime change war bullshit full steam ahead.
Yeah, a lot of the Democrats back in the mid 2000s, they were bringing up some pretty good points about why it was a bad idea to go into Iraq, and I think that there's a case to make for going into war in Iraq. I wasn't exactly convinced at the time. I also wasn't politically active. I didn't vote until 2012. So, but I think that it's ridiculous. It is ridiculous the way that they've sort of reversed literally every like key policy that they've
a few years ago they wanted border security, allegedly. If you listen to all their speeches, they sound exactly like Trump. But I guess the problem is when you actually make changes, they don't like that, because, you know, they want. I think the number one thing is the slave labor. You know, in terms of why are you going to advocate for illegal immigration? One thing, if you want to advocate for immigrants, you know, our system is kind of rough for legal immigrants, and, you know, maybe try and make it better for legal immigrants. And you want tons of people coming over, try and expand the amount of legal immigrants. This stuff where it's like, no, we have to have this, you know, this illegal immigrant, basically like human trafficking bullshit. I think it's disgraceful. And then they pretend they virtue signal and then call everybody a racist.
How about this one? How about this one? Okay. During the 2016 election primaries, Sanders was running on the whole platform of breaking up the big banks, which, you know, I think that he does have a point there, that if there is too much alignment with the banking industry, I mean, antitrust, I don't think is too much of an intervention, you know, but so I think
a lot of good stuff like that.
So nowadays there's banks. The majority of the banking industry is donating to who? The Democratic Party. So
yeah,
and people are bringing it up. Jimmy Dore brought it up like a couple days ago, an interesting video. So yeah, they don't really believe in anything besides getting donor money. Arjun Sinha in the chat. 1 second, I'll get back to you, but. He says Senator Graham played this very smart. Also, Senator Durbin tried to be really clever, but the chairman intervened on Kavanaugh's behalf. I think that was when he was trying to force him to ask President Trump to open an like Durbin made like a really like he tried to make it a very dramatic moment and try to get Kavanaugh to take the bait, and Grassley kind of shut him down in his Iowa farmer voice, and he's like, "No, don't take my fucking corn, asshole." So, yeah, that was an interesting moment. He's right. What were you gonna say, Lennon?
I was just talking about Bernie Sanders. Yeah, he still says some guy going to take a guy seriously when he's selling you Russiagate and Hillary Clinton and saying that's good. I mean, that's a deal breaker. And then some of the Bernie followers, they don't like, oh, it's whatever. Trump's bad though, so yeah, it's okay to just try to impeach the president, throw him out of office for some fraudulent bullshit because he's kind of a jerk. No, it's not okay. That's a deal breaker, you know. So that somebody's selling Russiagate and Hillary Clinton. Yeah, I think like Bernie Sanders more than Dianne Feinstein or a lot of the other Democrats. But on the other hand, I wouldn't vote for him again. And his credibility really got not only endorsing Hillary after she cheated him, but then he endorsed Russiagate. And it's like, did he sign? He could have just, he never even changed his party affiliation. He could have just ran for president, and what happened. And he dropped out, whatever. He didn't win. And then it goes about, he's like signed some contract in blood that he has to push Democrat bullshit talking points the rest of his life, apparently. It doesn't make any sense. And then there's the whole thing with threatened, was he bribed or whatever. I think it's kind of a moot point, because if he was, then that just shows that he probably shouldn't be president if you can threaten and bribe somebody and turn them into an automaton. So it's kind of moot, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I'll respond to that, and then I'll let Lennon have the last word, and we'll close. But
that's enough about it.
Right.
We weren't talking about Bernie Sanders.
I mean, I think Bernie Sanders. If you want to, we've kind of strayed from the main topic, but the issue with him, I guess, is exactly what you're talking about, which is that why were people supposedly proposing that he would be a good senator or president? Because he would be incorruptible by the special interests. Well, what are we seeing now? He's campaigning on behalf of a party that he supposedly does not belong to, that has been completely corrupted by special interests. So this is not the same Bernie Sanders product that is being pitched as was being pitched in 2016. I happen to think, this is me, I thought he was a piece of shit always, although he was a different, he was kind of like higher grade fertilizer shit as opposed to, total sewage like the rest of the Democrats in 2016. So
froze up.
Oh yeah, can you hear me now, Lennon? Hope you guys can hear me. I think his connection is sketchy.
Oh, okay. I hear you again. It froze up for a minute.
Okay. Well, where did I leave off?
Well, no, just like a few seconds ago. Were you talking about Bernie Sanders still?
Yeah, Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is basically like, you ever hear of okay, so Bernie Sanders is like Frosted Flakes, okay? It's still really processed, crappy cereal, but they kind of put a lot of sugar on it, so it doesn't taste as bad. So that's the way I look at him, and I think those of you that have voted for him in the past, and you still have the wool pulled over your eyes about him, really read about all the stupid shit he's doing now, promoting the Democratic Party and everything. He just is not a credible politician anymore. And by the way, there weren't many credible politicians to begin with. Rand Paul, I think, still maintains a lot of his credibility. Of course, there are gaps in it. When he said he would support Kavanaugh at the beginning, I said he should have said, well, I don't think he's earned my vote. I think by now, there's no reason not to vote for him.
I don't think Kavanaugh was really all that bad. I mean, yeah, I'm not a fan of Bush or neocons, but I thought he was a pretty standard choice that, nothing alarming. I don't know what's up with the Democrats. I think they're addicted to smear campaigns.
Yeah, I think Yeah, that's about it. So, do you have anything else to say? Any projects that you want to talk about, or anything that upcoming on your channel, maybe?
Yeah. So, Comrade Trumpsky, I know I have like a cliffhanger, and yeah, unfortunately, Nigel. This is kind of an obscure reference. That's like the host of Comrade Trumpsky, the English guy. He's like in a boredom coma again right now, but I'm trying to wake him up to get him out. And then I made like a little cartoon song parody thing about Sargon and Mr. Medicare. So if you don't know who they are, then you probably won't get it. But other than that, it's kind of fun.
All right,
So I want to do more cartoons and shit.
This was Razor Ray Live Wounds. We do this about once a week. Now that I've been banned from live streaming because of the fucking Chappaquiddick video on the Bold Like a Leopard channel. So please subscribe to Lennon McCarthy, the channel on YouTube. You can also find him at Comrade McCarthy on Twitter, at Lennon McCarthy on Gab. And you can find me at Chef Leopard on most social media, at Starscream85 on Gab, at Chef Leopard on Minds. You can also subscribe to Bold Like a Leopard on YouTube. Please let us know. I mean, this will upload. Let us know if there's anything we didn't cover. And of course, all of your comments are welcome, even the ones that call me a fucking shekel hogging banker or something. I mean, it is what it is. If that's what you think, it's what you think. But that's about it. Lennon,
All right.
have a
Thanks
good
for
night.
having me on, man.
No problem.
All right.
Thanks.
You too.
Good night.
All right. Bye.